The Commonwealth will this week elect a new Secretary General. The incumbent Patricia Scotland is expected to leave office after 2 terms. Lesotho's Joshua Setipa is a SADC candidate for the position. SABC's international news editor Sophie Mokoena spoke to Setipa about the Commonwealth.
The Commonwealth, I spent a year. I left exactly 12 months after I joined. And of course, I am very familiar with the issue of Zimbabwe. I've had the privilege also of engaging with the Zimbabwean authorities. I was in Zimbabwe for the elections. I was in Zimbabwe now for the summit. And we met President Mnangagwa, and he expressed Zimbabwe's interest to rejoin the Commonwealth. There has been a process that the Secretariat has been running with the Zimbabwean government for the last 3 or so years. And that process, I understand, has concluded. Now what is left is a political decision to readmit Zimbabwe. Personally, I hope that Zimbabwe will rejoin in this coming Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Samoa. I don't know whether that will happen, but that is my hope, and I think also the Zimbabwean government hope that they rejoin. Zimbabwe is a very important part of the history of the Commonwealth. The most divisive crisis that ever faced the Commonwealth, that at one point almost split the Commonwealth, was Rhodesia, the unilateral declaration of independence in Rhodesia. The Commonwealth was able to demonstrate and rally around its fight against racism in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe gave us the current set of principles and values that the Commonwealth uses as a basis for continued relevance. So Zimbabwe is part of the Commonwealth. Zimbabwe cannot be outside the Commonwealth, but also as a South makes it easy that we have Zimbabwe within the Commonwealth, and I hope that they will rejoin, because as far as I know, what's left now is a political decision.
Do you think Zimbabwe coming back will assist also to be in another fora to discuss the challenges facing Zimbabwe? Because you'd have people who'll defend, say, no, don't bring back Zimbabwe until certain things are done.
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that Zimbabwe left the Commonwealth. They were not kicked out, which means they were not told, go and fix this and come back. They left. Now they want to come back. Of course, we have to, as members, we have to work with them to say, these are the areas where we believe you have to continue to work to improve the situation. We're doing the same thing in Gabon. Gabon had a military coup a year or so ago. We didn't shut the door totally from Gabon. We're saying we'll work with the current administration to prepare for multi-party elections. Because once you lock that door, it's difficult to come in. West Africa is a good example. Look at ECOWAS. They got shut out of Mali, Burkina, Niger because of not being able to maintain that. And I think it's very important. The Commonwealth today, think of any forum globally. There's a member of the Commonwealth in there. G20, G7, BRICS, everybody. So the Commonwealth is in every forum.
And South Africa being central.
South Africa, of course, is very key and has brought along countries like Lesotho into the BRICS agenda. But the Commonwealth for its common positions in all the forums, even NATO. So it will be a missed opportunity if we're not able to use the convening power and the advocacy capacity of the Commonwealth to advance these challenges, including addressing the issues around Zimbabwe. Sanctions, are they still having an impact? Should they be continued? What are the systemic impact of those sanctions? Are they hitting the common man more than anybody else? And I think those are relevant discussions. Now there's another big topic which South Africa also has a lot to contribute, reparations.
And Middle East and Russia and Ukraine, a lot on the plate.
Well, I think as Secretary General of the Commonwealth, I don't have any role on the issue of Ukraine, for example. But what I can do is to work with Commonwealth member states to mitigate the impact of the war in Russia on the economies. Today, we see a cost of living crisis because of disruptions to global supplies on utilities and commodities. How do we build resilience in our economies? That's as far as we can go. But as far as mediating, stopping the war, I think the UN is doing an excellent job. I would leave that to the UN.
The same with the Middle East question.
Trade routes are disrupted. We have seen cases where now it takes long to deliver commodities, oil and others, because now they have to change routes. So the impact is felt by everybody. But there are forums that are better placed to discuss that, and I believe that those discussions will deliver and bear fruit very soon. South Africa has led some initiatives in Ukraine. There are other initiatives that are being led at the UN's level to try and bring a stop to what's happening in the Middle East. So as a Commonwealth, and we have members, it's our members that are involved in those forums, so we can only support and hope that they will reach a conclusion that brings in peace and stability for those regions. But as far as advocating for example, issues like Zimbabwe and others, we have enough presence in all these forums to be able to and I think SADC, for example, has been quite consistent. In all their forums, I don't know if you were at the AGOA forum, they have continued to make the case for Zimbabwean elections to be removed. So I think
Sanctions
against Zimbabwe to be removed. So I think SADC has been very consistent with that, and they should continue to push, because the regional integration agenda of SADC is also impacted by the fact that in some forums where we are discussing regional issues, Zimbabwe is outside. So it doesn't help regional integration.